Hundreds of acres have burned in Denali National Park. I'm Lex Silverton. We're following the latest developments as flames have kept park visitors away.
And Mother Nature finally bringing some hope for reduced fire danger. I'll let you know when and where we'll likely see rain this week.
Repeat after me. I, Suzanne LaFrance.
And as Anchorage's new mayor is inaugurated, protesters in town upset about how the recent officer-involved shootings have been handled.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
We all need to be in the ready mode because it's the time of year that this can happen.
And tonight, more than 150 active fires burning here in Alaska. We have complete coverage tonight as nearly 800 firefighters are on the ground and air support teams work above to contain them with more help on the way. We have live team coverage across our state tonight, starting with Lex Yelverton at Denali National Park, where people have been forced to leave their homes and their workplaces.
Mike, we've seen crews respond to the Riley fire all today. This fire is still active and it is not contained. The fire spans roughly 350 acres. It's something that's caused the evacuation of over 100 people. Today, we talked with multiple people from across the country who all had different reactions to this big fire.
Really, I feel mostly sad for what it's causing everybody. I'm not really scared because I've been watching all the planes and helicopters really do their best to get it out, and it's mostly just sadness for how it's affecting everyone.
We got here late on Friday, and we noticed there was a lot of smoke in Fairbanks, and so we've been dealing with that for like 3 days there. So today we come down here to Denali, and lo and behold, there's more fires down here, so it's been kind of surprising.
It's happening all over Alaska now. So yes, it's very concerning, especially with this wind coming out of the south as strong as it is. I live in Healy, so I'm very thankful to see these guys fighting this fire and not trying to contain it anyway.
I've seen the helicopters going back and forth. I've seen the planes going back and forth, and I know that, I mean, the firefighters and the pilots are doing all they can to put it out.
Paul Oleg with the Denali National Park Service maintains the top priority is firefighters and public safety. It's also why they are focusing so heavily on this fire because of its proximity of only being a quarter-mile away from structures and people. This fire is unique as there haven't been many in the entrance area to the park, with the last significant fire at this location being about a century ago. So far, the fire hasn't caused evacuations of roughly 150 park employees, has caused evacuations, and there are other park areas that are prepared for evacuations just in case. Now,
the fire is still very active, and we're hoping that the weather is going to cooperate, and that may help in the firefighting efforts.
Now, Oleg says that there are 12 smoke jumpers, a fire crew, varied aircraft, and 4 interagency hotshot crews working to put out this fire. Lex Yelverton, Alaska's news source.
16 miles south of Talkeetna is the Montana Creek fire. John Thompson joins us live from that area after speaking with fire officials there. John, what can you tell us?
Well, Mike, actually some pretty good news here as firefighters were able to lay down a hose perimeter around the entire 172 acres of the Montana Creek fire. Also, a little bit of reprieve from precipitation. Now, we're at the Montana Creek campground, which is about a mile or less than a mile from the actual fire. Right behind me, Montana Creek Road, just down that road a little ways is the fire. We've got, speaking with crews and logistics personnel, the big help has been the aforementioned hose setup around that entire perimeter of the fire. The hose and pump setup, along with sprayed fire retardant, are keeping the fire contained. Now, according to Incident Commander Timothy Sherwin out of Wyoming, the 172-acre fire now roughly 35% contained, but the job is not done.
We're working towards containment, which ensures that basically all of our resources are out here every day, working along the edges that you see here. You can see some of the smoke there, and they will continue to push further and further interior, you're hitting those smokes.
So the work continues here, just like I said, about a mile down Montana Creek Road next to the Montana Creek Campground where we're hanging out right now, and about 16 miles south of Talkeetna. Officials say that the cause of the fire is not yet known. I'm John Thompson for Alaska's News Source.
All right, John, thanks for the update. 4 more firefighting crews arrived this morning to help put out these flames. 14 crews have come up from the lower 48 so far to help. The 2 crews are being sent to the Riley wildfire today. Beth Ibsen with BLM tells us that they have been successful in keeping the fire from burning any buildings. It is important to remember, though, that wildfires are unpredictable, active fires that can change at a moment's notice.
Just be aware that things can change quite quickly. And it's not just with this fire, it's with any place in Alaska. We're a very fire-prone ecosystem. It's not a matter of if, but when a fire will happen. It's just be prepared and be aware.
And we have new information on evacuations from fires burning north of Fairbanks. Melissa Fry has that for us now.
Yeah, Mike, we just got this information in here a little bit ago to the newsroom. We've been watching this fire, that is the Globe Fire, along the Elliott Highway. I want to show you where this is, again, north of Fairbanks. That fire has crossed the highway. There are new evacuations along Elliott Highway tonight. If you are between mileposts 30 and 50, you are told to go now. If you're between mileposts 50 and 60, you need to be prepared at a moment's notice. And then you need to start getting ready, even from mileposts 18 to 30 and from mileposts 60 to 70. So covering a wide area there of the Elliott Fire, of the Elliott Highway. This fire now over 55,000 acres. It's a complex with those fires burning to the southwest. There's 140 personnel on this fire, and the containment currently listed at 0. And to the south of Fairbanks, the largest fire burning in the state, the McDonald Fire, now up to 122,000 acres, combining with the Clear Fire just to the north, also at about 23,000 acres. Again, just a number of the 164 active fires burning in the state. 19 of those are new in the past 24 hours, and we have 18 that currently have staff assigned to them. Year to date, we're over 434,000 acres burned and counting. But here's the good news. We do have one front arriving from the north. This is going to be colder and wetter conditions across the northern half of the state midweek, followed by a second storm on the 4th of July. First to bring wet conditions to the western side of the state, and then we'll see that spreading east. So again, likely good news from that. But until then, we do still have burn bans in place. Burn permits are suspended in many areas here across the state. It's really important that you use extra caution. And Mike will have a closer look at that statewide forecast here in a few minutes.
All right, Melissa, we'll see you then. Thanks. Be sure to stay up to date with the very latest information from our weather team with the free Alaska's News Source weather app. It's a free download that will keep you informed and your family safe. Still ahead tonight, Mayor LaFrance's inauguration ceremony and the challenges she will have to face as Anchorage's new mayor. And a new rescue tool at Portage Glacier, the Girdwood Fire Department's new gear to save those who get stranded.
You're watching Alaska's News Source.
Anchorage has a new mayor tonight. Political reporter Steve Kirch attended Suzanne LaFrance's inauguration today and tells us what the election means to people who voted for her. Steve?
Mike, after being sworn in as mayor, LaFrance talked about how she feels there are brighter days ahead for Anchorage. The only mention of specifics during her inauguration speech came when the mayor talked about her appointed police chief and municipal mayor working on draft policies. In her view, over the next couple of weeks, the public should see details that ensure clear communication and build trust between APD and the community. Jane Engvik, the widow of Vic Fisher, the last living signer of Alaska's Constitution, talked about what it means to see a woman elected mayor in her lifetime.
But I believe it's really going to be important that we have the opportunity for a woman to be the mayor, so all the little girls in Anchorage can say, Mommy, I want to grow up and be the mayor.
And I really appreciate and am grateful for all the women who have made such strides and accomplishments. And I just felt so proud. It was, so moving to sit next to Jane Engvik and Austin Quinn Davidson. And so I'm just so grateful to have this opportunity.
Austin Quinn Davidson was the interim mayor of Anchorage, but was not elected to office. LaFrance served 2 terms on the Anchorage Assembly. Steve Kirch, Alaska's News Source.
Well, while that inauguration ceremony was taking place today, there was a protest happening just a few feet away. The Party of Socialism and Liberation called for a civilian oversight committee at LaFrance's inauguration. The group protested at that event for the release of police body cam video from recent officer-involved shootings. The group sent a proposal for a civilian oversight committee to LaFrance and the Anchorage Assembly today. Now, Patterson hopes the protest encourages her to begin new conversations with him.
We're waiting for a response, and we hope we get it soon, because basically there's a choice here. We can continue to show up and do things, or we can actually have a real professional conversation about how we're going to enact a civilian oversight regime.
Now, LaFrance mentioned the protest in her speech today. She says she values the group's freedom of speech and is committed to listening to Anchorage residents.
And coming up after the break, I'll have a look at that statewide forecast. Again, the latest on the fires burning in the state, but how they could also get some help from Mother Nature. But first, take a look at your daylight hours for today, July 1st, 19 hours, 9 minutes of daylight. Sun not setting until 11:37. Our fire is burning here in Alaska, visible from space. Zooming into the Fairbanks area, you can see that grapefruit complex fire that's burning along the Elliott Highway. You can see the smoke being put into the air from there, and a ton of smoke being put up into the atmosphere from that McDonald fire and the nearby Clear fire that continues to burn south of Fairbanks. That's in that military land. A lot of that being allowed to burn in that area, but again, still seeing some significant impacts, especially from the smoke in the area. But I do have some good news, perhaps some of the best news that we've seen in the past 2 weeks when it comes to Mother Nature helping with the fire danger. First, look at our temperatures today. We have negatives in front of those numbers. That means that those temperatures here on this map are cooler than normal, are high temperatures compared to what is normal for this time of year. Down to 8 degrees in Fairbanks, 4 degrees cooler in Anchorage. Still warm out west. That's where the heat is, and we'll actually see some warmer conditions there later this week as well. The other piece of good news, some rain showing up in the state, about 1/3 of an inch earlier today in Fairbanks. Did come with some lightning, but at least those storms did have some rain with them. And also seeing just less than 1/10 of an inch in Galena, down into McGrath, King Salmon, Cold Bay, also picking up some of that rain there earlier today. And there is more of that moisture coming. We have a front that's going to push across the northern half of the state here over the next 48 hours. That will eventually bring more rain to the interior. And then there's a second storm that's going to push in behind it on Thursday, on the 4th of July. That is going to mean back-to-back storms, bringing rain to the western side of the state and to the slope, with hope for some good soaking rain across much of the interior. Further south, once you get closer to the Alaska Range, including Denali, all the way down into south central, it's not nearly as much rain as we'll see, but we will see some cloud cover, some higher humidity levels, and hopefully some of that rain making it at least by this coming weekend, about a week from now. But again, with that said, we do still have 164 active fires burning in the state. 18 of those are currently staffed, but 19 of those fires are new just in the past 24 hours. And those new fires, they have been in the double digits nearly every day for about the past week or so. And that's why we're up to over 400,000 acres that have burned so far. As I mentioned earlier, there are new evacuations issued just late this afternoon for that grapefruit complex. This was that globe fire that we've been talking about since last week, combined with those fires to the west. If you're in mileposts 30 to 50 of the Elliott Highway, you need to go now, and you can see it's a wide range from 18 to 70 that needs to be prepared and starting to get ready. That complex now up over 55,000 acres. Down to the McDonald fire, the largest in the state, more than 122,000 acres. We do still have red flag warnings in effect for that part of the state because of the lightning, the dry, and the warm conditions that we're seeing there. But as I mentioned, some changes to that weather pattern with that cooler air pushing into the north. It's not a ton of relief and it's not widespread, but at this point, anything will help. We are going to eventually see that rain spreading across most of the state, but it's the northern half that really sees the impacts. Down in southeast, you've been seeing scattered showers and will continue continue to see those heading into tomorrow. High temperatures a bit on the cool side, low to mid 60s for you. The sunshine is back for the Kenai Peninsula. This front that brought the cloud cover and the rain to the region today is now clearing out. We'll see high temperatures back near 60 for you. Similar conditions across Prince William Sound. A few showers still possible tomorrow in the Copper River Basin and into the valley. Sunshine is back. It's not the 70s or 80s, but it's still mid to upper 60s, and it is still dry. For the valley, mostly sunny, dry conditions in Anchorage. High temperatures here will be in the mid 60s. We will start to see a little bit more cloud cover moving through Wednesday, and then especially on Thursday, 4th of July, even a chance we could see a little light rain late that night, but good conditions for marathon runners. Then later into the weekend, that's when we see those chances for showers here in Anchorage. Saturday, more likely that we'll see that by Sunday. So at least it's in the forecast in the next week.
Yeah, we don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but we really need some rain here in the city.
Yes,
Big time,
absolutely.
Right? Thanks, Melissa. The Girdwood Fire Department says the number of people enjoying Portage Lake is growing, and so is the need for water rescues there. As Lauren Maxwell shows us tonight, the fire department in Girdwood has a new piece of equipment it says will make things safer.
On a sunny day, I'm told there could be 50 to 100 people out on this lake, paddleboarding, kayaking. Now, today isn't sunny, but it is a good time to test out the new rescue boat. The Girdwood Fire Department has just taken possession of the new boat called a whaley. It's made of nearly indestructible plastic, and it can hold 8 people. Rev up its jet motor, and it's ready to respond at a rip-roaring 25 miles an hour. Girdwood Deputy Fire Chief Manch Garhart has seen recreational use of this lake grow.
A lot of people coming out with paddle boards, with sit-on-top kayaks, with full ocean kayaks.
And with it, the need for more rescues.
So over the last 5 years, we're doing almost a dozen rescues a year. 8 to 12 is kind of our average number that we're finding.
Many of them happen here on the north shore of the lake that features beautiful waterfalls.
We've had individuals holding on the boulders just outside the shore.
Garhart says people underestimate the hazards like winds that can come up quickly from the glacier or water that averages 40 degrees. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this water is really cold. And why wouldn't it be? It comes right off the glacier. And not just cold, it's deep.
The average depth is over 600 feet here.
593 feet right now just below us.
Just below us.
He says people who fall in don't have much time.
We say 1 minute to get your breathing under control, 10 minutes for self-rescue, and 1 hour for survival.
Having the new rescue boat that can maneuver where an older model couldn't is a bonus that will benefit all.
This is going to make rescues for everybody safer. So for our personnel, for the people that are recreating out here, having this capability is going to increase what we can do and how quickly we can get to them and how safely we can pull them away.
He says there's no reason more people can't enjoy the beauty of the lake, but now they'll be better prepared. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
That new boat is operational but not completely paid for. The Girdwood Fire Chief says they're still looking to raise several $1,000s to fund additional water rescue equipment and training. Still ahead tonight, the USDA plans to fine Alaska for overpaying food stamp recipients. State highlights how this happened.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture says it intends to fine the state of Alaska just shy of $12 million. Johnson Kuhn tells us this is over the feds saying the state failed to make sure that SNAP recipients are eligible. Johnson.
State leaders are saying they do not take the feds' finding that Alaska being the worst in the country at paying out SNAP benefits lightly, and we now risk that $12 million fine. Public Assistance Director Deb Etheridge told us measures have already been taken to ensure this issue is resolved. The feds define that as Alaska's having an overpayment rate of roughly 60%. But that's not from individuals receiving too much money. The state says this is about a policy misunderstanding how long benefits could be issued.
In this circumstance, the error rate was that we were extending certification periods from a 6 to a 12-month certification without prior federal approval. We have that approval now to do that, but we didn't when we initially did it.
Now, Etheridge said that her office is currently working with the Department of Law to determine whether they have grounds for an appeal. And if not, the two options left are to pay the $12 million penalty in full or invest 50% of that penalty amount into improvements for the state SNAP program. But either way, Etheridge promises improvements will be made to the system. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
All right, coming up next, we're going to take a look ahead to 10 o'clock, and Melissa will have one more weather update on how they affect these wildfires going on. Stay with us.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
New at 10, to address what she calls overfishing and cheap and forced Russian and Chinese labor, Representative Mary Peltola has introduced an act she says aims to improve seafood health and modernize Alaska's fisheries. We'll have that story and much more when you see me again tonight at 10.
All right, thanks, Joe. Well, listen, my wife and I were up in Talkeetna Saturday when the Montana Creek fire blew up. Went from beautiful blue sky to a huge column of smoke in just a matter of minutes. It's kind of scary how these fires just
so
go like that.
quickly. Yeah, it happens like that. So important to, of course, be safe, to not start any additional fires. But again, the good news that we've been talking about, finally some relief, hopefully from Mother Nature. It's not going to come soon. We do still have dry conditions likely for us here in South Central the rest of this week. We'll see more sunshine back tomorrow. It's going to be beautiful here in Anchorage, mid-60s. Heading into the 4th of July, a little bit more cloud coverage. And if you're looking ahead for that forecast for Mount Marathon down in Seward on 4th of July, looking pretty good. Mild temperatures, not too hot, not too cold, staying dry, at least for now. But again, rain is on the way for the weekend. And that front that pushes through Sunday should give you a good dose of rain.
We could use some rain. Stay with us on Channel 2 for some lighthearted news.